The NFL's trade deadline is beginning to creep up on us, and with the New York Jets holding an abysmal 0-6 record and nowhere near contention of a playoff spot or hope at the very least, obviously rumors surrounding New York and their future will continue to go ahead of November 3rd's trade deadline. Who could be on the move in New York? Who's going to stay with gangrene through the 2025 season? We'll talk about that and much more, all coming up here on a Thursday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk. Let's roll.
This is NY Flight Jets Talk with Connor Long. NY Flight Jets Talk. We're talking Jets, 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 Jets. NY Flight Jets Talk with special guests. NY Flight Jets Talk. Here's your host, Connor Long. Jets, 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 Jets.
What is going on, New York Jet fans? Hello, everyone. Welcome back here into another edition of NY Flight Jets Talk as we come to you guys live right here on this beautiful Thursday evening, October 16th. 2025. Thank you all for joining us. Be sure to drop down below, smash that like button, and hit subscribe on your way into the building. It is completely free and it helps our channel grow a ton. Sorry, we haven't had any shows since my rant after Sunday's loss to the Denver Broncos. I apologize, folks. Super busy week, but we are back. We are here, and we're looking forward to getting back with daily content. It's not a product of this team being bad. Trust me, I cover the Brooklyn Nets as well. They're a terrible team. I was all over the place this week, so my apologies to everyone for not getting you guys content Monday through Wednesday. But look, we're going to have content back daily, so stay tuned if you're new. Welcome to the show. I'm Connor Long right here with you guys on NY Flight Jets Talk. Be sure to smash the like and subscribe. That is the free way to support us. And plus, don't forget about the paid way. Please, please, please get your super chats, get your memberships in. That is a great way to help us grow here on the program. As you see on the ticker below, every $2 super chat or gifted membership gives you an opportunity to take home a Joe Klecko signed jersey, a Wayne Corbett signed helmet, of Coles, Corbett, and Moss signed picture, a Dom Maynard signed picture, and an Altoon signed photo. Again, every $2 super chat or gifted membership gives you an entry. Be sure to get those. And already see that guy John under the new name Higher John Gruden has dropped in, and he has gifted a freaking channel membership, baby. Let's go.
My very own bed in the toilet. A bomb shop haircut that costs a quarter.
Thank you so much, John. Love the username. By the way, says hit the like button for our boy Connor. Indeed, guys, please smash the like. Please hit subscribe again. That's the free way to support us. Paul in the building. What's up, Paul? See some Rogers comments already. Paul, good to see you. John B, good to see you. Alex, what is going on? Jeremy in the building. Good to see you, my friend. We appreciate your support, as always, right here on the program. Let's see. We said what's up to Alex. Where's Kyle? There's our guy, Kyle. So I was wearing the same sweatshirt earlier. Well, thank you so much, Kyle. I appreciate it. Yes, this sweatshirt is incredible. I'm so happy to see that you were wearing it as well. I think I got this for my birthday. It was from my mom. So I love this sweatshirt. I wore it last Friday. It's an incredible fit. So happy to hear some other Jet fans are rocking this this very sweatshirt as well. And some New York Jets who might not be sticking around. Some New York Jets who will be sticking around post-trade deadline. That's what we're getting into right here on the show. And a player that I want to start with is Jermaine Johnson. This is a player I don't think a lot of us expected to be in these trade talks if you were to foresee these conversations a few months back. But we're seeing reports. We saw a report from Connor Hughes that the Jets have indicated that they'd be willing to shop Jermaine, although it would take a hefty price tag. Look, Jermaine's a really interesting player. Could the Jets trade Jermaine Johnson? Sure. Could they trade anyone on this roster? Absolutely. I just don't see a world where that will happen. I think it would be a very grave mistake for a regime that has already gotten off to a very less than stellar start to deal a player like Jermaine Johnson when, while he's on the field, we saw it firsthand on Sunday against the Denver Broncos. He's a difference maker for this team. He's able to get to the quarterback like nobody else except Will McDonald in this pass rush. He's a leader. He wants to win. this regime, this regime, excuse me, but this organization drafted him a few years ago. I think that's a guy you look to lock up long term. You certainly don't sell him at the deadline. And plus, up to this point, he's only played 2 games this year. If you were to sell on him come the trade deadline, I'd assume that you'd have to sell low. So I'm very, very, very much so against the idea of shopping or dealing Jermaine Johnson ahead of the trade deadline that's approaching right here on November 3rd. Someone who was a key contributor on this defense a couple of years ago who I would be willing to trade and I think would make a lot of sense for this regime to trade would be none other than Michael Carter II. Now, this is the guy who signed to a 3-year, $70 million extension, obviously, before the start of last year. And there were high expectations for him, rightfully so. He was a difference maker in 2022. He was a difference maker in 2023. And then last year, he dealt with injuries, a ton of hamstring injuries, which hindered him. And we give him the benefit of the doubt. We thought he could come in this year and continue to be a lockdown guy, a lockdown option in the slot. It's been far from the case. When he's been out there, he struggled mightily. He missed last game due to a concussion. And in his absence, Jarvis Brownlee Jr., who the Jets traded for in season, played very, very well. Now, Jarvis Brownlee Jr., let's keep this in mind here, folks, still has 2 more full years under team control. This is a guy the New York Jets could look to, potentially retain for the next few years. You saw him get in there, make a difference, get that fumble. The Jets' first takeaway of the year, he obviously played a pivotal role and he stayed strong in coverage. He has that inside-outside versatility, which I think this regime also values. And Michael Carter II, after this year, he has no guaranteed money on his contract. I was looking at him as a guy to potentially be a cap casualty in the offseason where, all right, you just move on from him at the end of the year. No harm, no foul. You don't owe him any money. If you can get anything for him at the trade deadline, I think it's a bonus. Again, I'm looking at him potentially to be a cash casualty at the end of the year. But again, if you can bring in a draft pick, if you can potentially bring in, maybe another receiver with a young ascending receiver with a few years under team control, that would be a win as well. So I'd say Michael Carter II, keep an eye on to be traded. Now, Breece Hall is a really, really, really interesting one. And you see the free 20 post out on social media from Breece Hall and then him blatantly denying and saying, oh, no, it had nothing to do trade rumors. It had nothing to do with this. It had nothing to do with that. I think at the end of the day, it had to do with the trade rumors. He doesn't want to admit it. I think he made a mistake, and I think it would be too cryptic to go back and delete that post at the time. But the Jets have shown no indication that they want to trade Breece Hall. Aaron Glenn made it very, very clear for us New York Jet fans over the summer that this team really likes Breece Hall, and they're not going to want to deal him. He followed that sentiment up just a couple days ago, speaking with reporters in Florham Park. Does Breece Hall want to be a Jet post-trade deadline? I don't know. But I think he's here. I don't see a world where Glenn deals Hall, and then obviously knowing the Braylon Allen injury and the severity of that, rolling into potentially the rest of the year with Isaiah Davis as your running back one, not only is a slippery slope, but I don't think something that the Jets want to roll the dice on. So I'd say there's a very, very, very minuscule chance that the Jets make a decision and ultimately deal Breece Hall. Another name I saw come up from Dan Graziano and Jeremy Fowler in ESPN was Will McDonald to the San Francisco 49ers. Obviously, they're in need of edge help. Their defense, the mess. And look, the 49ers, they make sense as a trade destination, given the fact that Robert Saleh is there as the team's former head coach and the 49ers defensive coordinator, of course. So there are going to be a lot of common links there. But at the end of the day, when you look at Will McDonald, this is a cornerstone player for this team's defense. This is a player who has played such a big role in what the Jets are trying to do. Someone who we saw Aaron Glenn get giddy over and excited when he blocked that field goal. This team isn't trading Will McDonald. Again, I think Will McDonald, Jermaine Johnson, these are guys who are going to be on this team, in my opinion, for years to come. These aren't guys that this team automatically goes ahead and just deals. That's not what's going to happen. Aaron Glenn has made it clear. It doesn't matter what people think the record is right now, what the future holds. Everything Aaron Glenn does, he's going to try to win every single game this year. That's what he's going to try to do. And he's not going to trade away a player like Jermaine Johnson. He's not going to trade away a player like Will McDonald that plays such big roles on this team. That's not going to happen, folks. It isn't. Thank you for joining us. Smash the like button. Hit subscribe. I'm Connor Long, right here with you guys on NY Flight Jets Talk. Questions, comments, thoughts. Throw all of those in the chat for us to get to. I appreciate your support as always right here on the show. Again, questions, comments, thoughts in the chat, super chats, memberships. Get those in. We're going to go to you guys in the chat shortly. I want to hear you guys think could potentially be on the move, and the Jets could potentially shop ahead of the trade deadline on November 3rd. I really don't think the Jets are going to make that many moves. They're certainly not going to acquire anyone intriguing. I can let you know that right now. And I don't think they're going to deal away as many players as most think. Now, could they sell some? Could they get rid of Alan Lazard? Yeah. Could they get rid of Josh Reynolds? That's an intriguing name. I don't think anyone's talked about. It can, give a contending team some pass rush upside. Like those are guys to watch. But I don't think we're going to see a Breece Hall trade. I don't think we're going to see a Jermaine Johnson trade. Again, we could very well see an MC2 trade. But I don't think it's going to be those Breece Hall trades, their Jermaine Johnson trades, the Will McDonald trades. Like, I don't think we're going to see any of that. Quincy Williams is another guy, baby. That's a guy I haven't mentioned here on the show who's certainly a possibility on an expiring deal. The 49ers obviously dealing with a Fred Warner injury that's going to leave him out for an extended amount of time. Quincy Williams could make sense. I mean, Quincy, I was writing about this the other day. Quincy, I think it would make sense for the Jets to trade him and acquire a third or fourth round pick, whatever you can get for him. But that's not a knock on Quincy at all, guys. It really isn't. He's done so much for this organization. He's done so much as a leader. I was having a conversation with rookie linebacker Kiko Mauinoa the other day, and I asked him, I was talking to Kiko, I was like, Kiko, how important has it been for you to have a guy like Quincy Williams in your position room? How important has it been for you to have a guy like Jamie Sherwood in your position room? And he highlighted Quincy's leadership and how blessed he is to be a part of this room and, work with linebackers of that nature. So, look, I think Quincy Williams has been a great leader for this team. He's certainly left a mark on this organization. But he's the guy where if you can get something in return, you're not going to bring him back. It's not going to make sense. The Jets aren't going to bring him back on another deal. He's way too old. They have so many guys to pay. They won't bring him back. Get a fourth-round pick and move on. Quinnen Williams, on the other hand, I've heard some people say the Jets could shut him at the deadline. Absolutely not. Now, the Jets might move off of him. He might want out. As unfortunate as it is, but at the same time, you can't blame the guy. He's been through Gase. He's been through Saleh. He's going through Glenn right now. I mean, you can't freaking blame the guy whatsoever. But with Quinnen, suppose they would trade him, that would be more of an off-season thing compared to in-season. Because off-season, that's where you can get the most value if you were interested in dealing a guy like Quinnen, not here in-season, where it's just contending teams shopping, trying to strengthen their case, and trying to go ahead and win a Super Bowl. I think if you tried to trade Quinnen now, you'd get maybe like a second and a few day 3 picks, which isn't his value. So it wouldn't make sense for the Jets to trade him. Absolutely. Connor Long right here with you guys on MLF Like Jets Talk. Smash that like and hit subscribe. Questions, comments, thoughts, throw those in the chat. We're going to open it up to you guys, trying to do like 20, 25 minutes right here on this Thursday evening. Then, of course, we'll be back tomorrow with a show. So stay tuned for that. But we'll open it up Q&A style for the rest of the show. Appreciate that a lot of you guys. Appreciate your support as always here on the program. John says, if Glenn trades away any of our key pieces, that would be really disappointing. Glenn needs to get fired at the end of the year. He shouldn't be trusted with any major decisions between now and then. I'll say this. You have to give Glenn at least the whole year. You can't fire him in season. The Jets play like this for 12 more games. We could have a conversation about 11 more games, excuse me. We could have a conversation about what you do with Glenn. Long term, I'm not ready to say fire Glenn after this year, no matter what. We're 6 games into the year. But you have to give him the whole year, at least. And look, if he trades away key pieces, I think Glenn is the last coach to do that. I think, again, Glenn is the last guy to express interest in trading away a Jermaine Johnson. Trade away a Breece Hall. He's voiced his opinion on that before, guys. He's the last guy to try to do that. So I think he's going to be a lot more conservative with these key pieces than most people seem to think. So I think that's something to keep in mind from a fan perspective as well. Jeremy, our Bills fans, if I were the Jets, obviously you're drafting a QB next year, but get another first-round pick, however possible, and best possible receiver available, a better OC because their current OC is deplorable. I disagree. I really, really do, Jeremy. And someone who, I'm not accusing you of this, but, maybe an untrained eye in general, a general NFL fan who just watched the Broncos game. It's like, oh, Tanner Einstein, he sucks. Tanner Engstrand called a very, very good first 5 games of the year, and I don't blame everything on him in week 6. Could he have been better? Absolutely. Can you blame him for having Justin Fields hold on to the ball for over 3 seconds on every single one of his sacks, of which he took 9? Like, you can't blame him for that. You can't blame him for not being able to hit Garrett Wilson on an out route. You can't blame him for not being able to see Garrett Wilson crossing right through the middle of the field on a slant route that would have probably put the Jets in position to kick a game-winning field goal. You can't blame him for that. So sure, we can go back and we can nitpick every single play call the Jets had, but at the end of the day, Sunday's loss falls a lot more on Justin Fields than Tanner Engstrand. It's Fields and Glenn. Those are the 2 guys you blame for Sunday, primarily. Johnson, I'm actually having so much fun during this tough season. We'll have a top 3 draft pick, and then we'll have a chance to draft our QB. I like Ty Simpson, hire Gruden, and draft Ty Simpson. I'll say this, John. I don't think Gruden's getting a job anywhere. Love Gruden, one of my Twitter followers. I've DM'd with John Gruden a handful of times. Love John Gruden. Love Chucky. I wouldn't have a problem with the Jets adding him as an addition to their coaching staff. I think he's pretty much blackballed by the NFL. I don't think he's getting a job anywhere, and if so, it's like a senior offensive analyst, a senior offensive assistant. Also, like, I haven't spoken to Gruden in a few months, but I don't know if he'd want to get back into coaching. I'll say that. I think he loves what he's doing at Barstool right now. He's making a freaking pretty penny over at Barstool. So, I don't know, like, I would not bring John Gruden as head coach, number 1. And if you offer him, like, a lower level role, I don't know if he'd leave Barstool and the pretty penny that they're paying him to take on that position with insert any team, specifically the Jets. Paul says, when your coach is your GM, there is a misalignment of incentives. Glenn now thinks he's coaching for a job, so he'll be reluctant to trade anyone. Yeah, Glenn is an interesting guy. I think that's the way we have to say it. He's just a really, really interesting man. Like, he had that whole bravado the offseason of everything we do is to win and to win now. And then he walks it back, says, oh, this isn't an instant coffee team. Robert Saleh comments. I think Glenn, I wish I could give you an insight into Aaron Glenn's mind, but I really can't. Because he continues, as we freaking saw yesterday, to be short-winded, quick-witted with these reporters. Shoot out Brian Costello for asking if Justin Fields is still their starting quarterback after a -10 net passing yards against the Denver Broncos. Like, he's a complicated dude. So, I don't think he's going to want to trade anyone. And it certainly doesn't help that he's 0-6 right now. I'll say that. Jeremy says, why do you think Aaron Glenn is so reluctant to start Tyrod Taylor? Good question. I wish I knew the answer to that question. I think Glenn is in over his head as head coach. I think he's learning on the job. I'll add that as a nugget. I think he's learning on the job. I think he's completely in over his head, which is the risk you take in hiring a first-timer and learning in the freaking New York media market. Moving past that, though, I think Glenn Fields. Glenn wants to ride and die with his guy. But at the same time, when have we looked at a crunch time roster decision and said, man, this regime did a great job at handling this? Like, we all know Michael Clemens shouldn't be on this team. We all knew Xavier Gibson shouldn't be on this team since week 1. We all know Alan Lazard shouldn't be on this football team. Like, the blatantly obvious roster decisions have annoyed me the most out of anything among this coaching staff. And I think that also applies to the Justin Fields logic when it comes to benching him or keeping him out there. Like, I just think these overall personnel and roster decisions from Glenn, and you could tie Mougey in there for some of them as well, have been lackluster. And the people always say to me, Connor, how much to blame on Glenn? How much to blame on Mougey? You gotta give Glenn the majority because Woody Johnson referred to Darren Mougey as Aaron Glenn's sidekick at the introductory press conference. That tells me all I need to know. There is not a move that is being made within this organization that Aaron Glenn doesn't sign off on. I'll leave it at that. So Mougey deserves blame, sure. Like, why is Tyler Barron, who you traded up for, inactive when you have no pass rushers? Why is Malachi Moore not able to find the field over Tony Adams? Why isn't Arian Smith able to get a target in a wide receiver room that has one NFL receiver? Why isn't Azaria Thomas able to play over Brandon Stevens? Why isn't Mason Taylor able to get double the targets he's getting now? Like, those are all fair questions, and you have to put Mougey into that equation as well. You have to tie him in there. But again, Glenn is the one with final say. Glenn is in charge here. I'll say that. Thank you for joining us right here on Life Like Jets Talk. Smash the like button, hit subscribe. I'm Connor Long right here with you guys on the show. Thank you for joining us. Stay tuned. Upcoming content, daily shows right here on the channel. We'll be back tomorrow with a show. Don't know exactly what time, but some point tomorrow evening. So stay tuned for that, folks. I appreciate the hell out of you guys. I appreciate your support as always. That'll do it for me. I'm your host, Connor Long, signing off right here on NY Flight Jets Talk, saying have a great rest of your evening, everyone. And as always, baby, JTS, Jets, Jets, Jets. Peace out.